A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A plus English because it's so much fun. English education for you and everyone, so come along. Learn some grammar, learn a phrase, learn something new every day. Learn the A plus way. Hey, it's time to start the show. Are you ready? Good, 'cause here we go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A plus English.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Plus English. I am Michael.
I'm Chickling.
Actually, I'm not Michael.
I was like, yeah, who are you?
Well, I wanted to say my Italian name. I'm Michele.
Okay.
What's your Italian name?
I have no idea. Would you like
Ciccalina.
Ciccalina?
That actually could be an Italian word. I shouldn't say it. It could be a bad word in Italian. We have no idea.
It sounds like it.
Because we don't speak Italian, but we do speak Italian. And that's partly because we like Italian food. And if you can order things in Italian, then you do speak a little bit of Italian. So yes, our article today is a taste of Italy, the art of Italian food culture. And when we think of countries with great food culture, I think along with China, Japan, Taiwan, of course, I will include in that. But we'd also have to talk about the French and the Italians, probably the two big food cultures in that part of the world in Europe. So before we get into the food culture of Italy, which I think everyone, almost everyone in the world is a little bit familiar with, let's talk about the history of Italy as a whole, as a country. What do you know about the history of Italy and not just the food?
I know that it came from the ancient Roman Empire.
The Romans were there, yes.
Yeah,
very
and
good.
at that time, I think the empire was like, dominated like Europe.
Yeah.
And America? North America?
No, just Europe.
Just Europe?
Yep.
I thought it was like different parts.
Well, they were. They went all the way from sort of
Okay.
Egypt up to England. And so a
okay.
lot of what is now
That's
Europe
the part.
and also around that big sea there, the Mediterranean Sea with North Africa, that was also part of the
Okay.
Roman Empire. What's now like Israel and Syria, over all the way to Spain, France, England, and parts of Germany too. So that was the beginning. And of course, when we think of the Romans, we think of Julius Caesar and Nero and cool movies like Gladiator and stuff like that. And then later on, of course, Italy in the 1500s was famous as the home of the Renaissance, where we got the great artists like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci and people like that. And then more modern, Italy was part of World War II, right? They fought alongside the Germans and the Italians, so on the losing side of World War II. But now Italy, of course, is a big country in Europe, and it's also a very, very popular place for tourists to go, both because of its long and interesting history and also more about what we're talking today, the food. So let's get into our article all about the art of Italian food culture.
A taste of Italy, the art of Italian food culture. Warm-up question. What do you know about the history of Italy?
The roots of Italian food culture date back to ancient Rome. At that time, the Roman Empire ruled many lands and traded with other cultures. This helped Italian food get different foreign tastes. In the Middle Ages, the Western Roman Empire split into different cities. Each area began to make its own special dishes. During this time, Italians started using local ingredients more.
Okay, so the article begins by actually going back to what we were talking about there. The roots of Italian food culture date back to ancient Rome. That is pretty cool. I would have to say there are some things that the Romans used to eat that we wouldn't eat today, like stuffed mice. That was a very popular Roman
okay.
dish. Or ostrich was
okay.
also a very popular Roman dish. Okay. But other things that we know, like things like pizza, were actually kind of first invented or sort of seen back there in ancient Rome. So yes, the roots of modern Italian food that we know go all the way back or date back to ancient Rome.
OK, 所以意大利的饮食文化呢，根源是可以追溯到古罗马时期的哟。So we're talking about Italian food today. Do you like Italian food?
Oh, I do. Italian food is great. It's so fresh. It's so tasty. It's quite easy to make too, which is something I like. And maybe a little bit healthier than French food. Italian food, like Greek food, they use a lot of olive oil, right? Whereas with French food, you get more butter and stuff like that. So I think Italian food is quite a healthy way to eat, but you do want to stay away from a lot of the pizzas and pastas. But there is so much more to Italian food, as we are going to learn. So back in our article, it says, at that time, so this is about 2,000 years ago, the Roman Empire ruled many lands and traded with other cultures. Yeah, absolutely. It was right there in the middle of Europe, and it traded with many countries, as I said, from England or Britain, way up in the northwest to Egypt and even into Syria and parts of the Middle East way down in the southeast there.
这个当时呢，罗马帝国呢统治许多地区，并且呢与其他的文化进行贸易哦。
And as it says, this helped Italian food get different foreign tastes. Yeah, because they covered a lot of area, this Roman Empire, they would meet a lot of people and be introduced to different foods from all over their empire.
对，所以就是因为那个时候统治很多地方，然后跟其他文化有交融，所以其实因为这样子的关系，意大利的食物呢融合了很多不一样的风味哦。So do you think Italian food would taste the same without foreign influences from the Roman Empire?
I don't think so. Of course, they'd have to access, they'd be able to taste and experience and get foods from all over the world, or at least all over their empire. So, of course, we would imagine, I think the most easy thing to imagine is spices that would arrive along the Spice Road or the Silk Road from China and India and places like that. Those would often make it all the way to Rome. And I'm sure a lot of people discovered a lot of new and interesting foods from far away, but they were all connected through this empire. And then later on, it says in the Middle Ages, so this is sort of the year 1200, 1500, about 500, 600, 700 years ago. In the Middle Ages, or the medieval times, we could also say, the Western Roman Empire split into different cities. At this time, the Roman Empire split into two areas. There were the Eastern Roman Empire, whose capital was in Byzantium, what we now call Istanbul, in Turkey, and of course the Western Roman Empire, its capital was still there in Rome, in Italy.
所以呢，到了中世纪的时候呢，西罗马帝国就分裂成不同的城邦。那这个 in the Middle Ages 指的就是中世纪的意思哦。这边我们出现的 split into 是过去式它是代表那个时候分裂成不同的意思。
And it says each area began to make its own special dishes. During this time, Italians started using local ingredients more. I guess in some ways we can see a very similar situation with Korean food, Japanese food, and Chinese food, right? A lot of that Korean food and Japanese food has its roots to Chinese food, but it's changed over time as people have gotten other types of food. The food styles have also changed.
所以其实那个时候各个地区就开始发展了各自的特色菜肴这边出现的 dishes 并不是碗盘这边是一道菜的意思。So during this time 这段时期，意大利人呢也开始更多的使用当地的食材。我们这边出现的 local ingredients， local 就是我们的单字，等一下会讲到的，就是当地的。那当然还有当地的 ingredients， 就是我们煮饭用的食材。
In the late 15th century, European people found the New World. New ingredients from the Americas like tomatoes came to Italy. In the 20th century, many Italians moved to other countries. These people brought their home dishes with them. For this reason, Italian food quickly reached many parts of the world.
All right, and then we're going to jump a few hundred years more into the future towards our time. It says in the late 15th century, so this is in the late 1400s, European people found the New World. New ingredients from the Americas, like tomatoes, came to Italy. This, of course, is after Christopher Columbus. In 1492, he was a man from Italy, although he was sailing for Spain. But, of course, his boats reached to the New World, North America, South America, and that's when they had a whole bunch of new ingredients, new types of food that they'd never tried before, things like tomatoes. It's funny, when we think of tomatoes in Italian food, they kind of go hand in hand, right? Pizza sauce or tomato sauce for your spaghetti and noodles. It's amazing to think that before Christopher Columbus, before this time, they had no tomatoes in Italian food. The Romans had no tomatoes at all because they had never discovered this type of food until the late 1500s. The late 15th century, I should say.
So in the late 15th century, 就是15世纪的末期，这个欧洲人呢发现了新大陆。我们英文当中出现的 New World，the New World 就是新大陆的意思。所以那个时候啊，就有来自美洲的新食材，像是番茄，就开始进入意大利了。
And then it says in the 20th century, so that's in the 1900s, just a few years ago, about 100 years ago to more recently. In the 20th century, many Italians moved to other countries. Of course, a lot of Italians moved to America, bringing, Italian food and pizza and all that kind of stuff to places like New York and Chicago. These people brought their home dishes with them. That's why Italian food in America is a whole other thing, and it's very popular there too.
所以到了呢20世纪的时候啊，很多意大利人就移居到世界各地，就把家乡的美食传播出去了。
And it says, for this reason, Italian food quickly reached many parts of the world.
所以就使得意大利美食迅速的传遍全球。这边的 quickly 就是很快速的意思。OK， 那我们来看一下今天的单字啦。好，我们今天第一个单字是 root， 根源、根基的意思，但是它也可以植物的根的意思。比如说树根 ，They dug up the tree and carefully removed the roots， 就是把树根拔掉的意思。那我们英文里面呢，可以放一个 be 动词 be rooted in something， 就是根于或根植于的意思。比如说 His beliefs are deeply rooted in his cultural background。那我们看另外一个句子 ，The roots of Oliver's love for cooking come from his grandmother。Oliver 对烹饪的热爱是源自于他的奶奶。那么第二个单字，我们知道说那时候啊，这个文化它会跟各个不同的文化 trade， 就是贸易交易的意思。So 去进行贸易，我们英文可以说 engage in trade。比如说 They engaged in trade with neighboring countries， 就是跟邻近的国家做贸易。那么呢，我们说到的行业啊，也可以，比如说 She worked in the same trade all her life， 这边指的就是行业的意思。那么看另外一个句子 The company trades tea with many countries around the world， 这间公司呢，跟世界各地的许多国家都进行茶叶的买卖。那么我们刚刚看到 foreign 这个字就是外国的，所以比如说外语就是 foreign language， 比如说She spent a year abroad to improve her foreign language skills. 她在国外待了1年，去加强她的外国语言。那么外国的文化就是 foreign culture， 所以外国人呢就是 foreigner。那我们看另外一个句子 Kevin likes a lot of foreign food, especially Japanese food. Kevin 喜欢很多不同的异国食物，尤其是日本料理。那么最后我们的单字呢是 reach， 那么 reach 就是有扩展延伸到某一个程度的意思。我们常常也可以说到达目的地啊 to reach a destination or your destination。 比如说 After a long journey, they finally reached the top of the mountain。 那么或者是东西你摸得到，就是 within reach。比如说你如果认真的努力工作，你就会成功的意思。 With hard work, success is within reach， 就是你是可以得到成功的， You can be successful。 那我们看另外一个句子哦 The smell of fresh bread reached the streets from the bakery。 面包刚出炉的香味呢，从面包店飘到了街上。好，所以这是我们今天所有的单字，大家不要忘记练习哦。 Right now, let's go to our review time activity。
Review time.
All right, we are back for a quick review of the 4 new words we saw in our first article, all about Italian food. Are you ready to play a quick game of synonyms?
Oh, sure, I am.
Synonyms, words that basically mean the same as other words. So if I said something like big, I would also maybe say large or huge or giant or something like that. Other words that basically mean the same as big. So in this case, we're going to have to find 4 words or a few others that mean the same as our new words for today, which of course were root, trade, foreign, and reach. Are you ready to go?
Yes.
Let's start off easy. Let's see. Okay, here's one. Arrive at.
Arrive at.
Or get to.
To get to a place. To arrive at your destination. So I think it's reach.
Yes, to reach your destination, to arrive at your destination. It's the same kind of idea. Very well done. All right, let's try another one. Okay, this one's slightly more challenging. Commerce.
Oh, I know this one.
Or to barter, I should say. Maybe to barter, to swap.
Okay, I think it's trade.
Trade, yeah. I was saying more of the noun. Trade and commerce are like business, but to actually trade would be to barter, to swap, to do business with in some cases. Okay, another one. Let's say origin.
Origin, so where something comes from. So I think it's root.
Root, yeah, the roots of something, the origins of something, where it comes from, where it all began. And the last one, you can probably figure out what word, but the word I'm going to say is overseas.
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 So Mike comes from overseas.
Right, I do.
Okay, I'm just kidding. Okay, it's foreign.
Foreign, you might have overseas guests or foreign guests, right?
Guests.
People coming to Taiwan from another country to visit. There you go, overseas or foreign. Well done! I'm a little disappointed. We haven't eaten any Italian food yet. We have to do that. And we have a couple more days left, so let's hope that the cannolis and spaghettis and spaghettinis and pizzas and everything else is coming soon. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, buongiorno, everyone.
所以想学更多的实用英文，欢迎加入AMC 空中美语粉丝团。